Hi, I'm Phil Rue. I'm the visitation pastor at Gloria Day. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Corinthians, to his first letter, think of us in this way, as servants of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. As of today, we're into 1 month of our governor's Stay Home, Stay Healthy proclamation. And of course, we've not been gathering for a long time before that even. And to be honest, it's getting old. At first we could do this. There was the uncertainty of the virus and it got our attention. And so we were interested and into it. And then there was a spirit, an esprit de corps, a sense of common loyalty and togetherness as we sought to repress this invasive, this mysterious, microscopic parasite. But to be honest, we're going stir crazy. I am. I assume you are too. We miss the camaraderie and our friendships. We miss the community gathered for worship and coffee. It's more difficult to restrain the urge to run off to the store and do some shopping or go romp in the park. Studying at home isn't the same. And the dark clouds of economic upheaval are roiling now into reality. It's frightening that so many businesses are closed or struggling and that the unemployed are so many now that the systems designed to be helpful to them are crashing. It's all daunting. We don't like it. I don't like it. All this can be over already. But perhaps this is a time when we need to sit down and take stock once again, consider who we are and what we're here for and what this is all about. Hopefully in the midst of our restlessness, we can reaffirm some things and regain some perspective. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is a 911 dispatcher in another county. When she was a young girl, her single mother told her and her 2 sisters that if they wanted to go with her to Good Friday service, they had to be well behaved, or else they'd have to go to a babysitter. Only well-behaved children could attend Good Friday worship. So Good Friday worship became very special. It was quiet, it was dark, and only kids who could behave could attend. And it became a favorite service for Sarah. Now, this last Good Friday, Sarah was bummed for missing one of her favorite services, even though it would have been virtual. And from the midst of a hectic night of emergency calls and all of the roar that was going on in her room at work that time, she shared this story. My coworker, D, she said, is very odd. He's pretty religious. He sets up LED lights at his workstation every night. He often reads the Bible when there's a break in his calls. He has odd tendencies. Sometimes he wears weird cloaks and he comes in with masks. But he's a good dispatcher and he's kind. And last night, randomly, when it finally got quiet, he mentioned something about it being Good Friday. And then he shouted out across the room to me, Sarah, my Lutheran sister in Christ, we are doing God's work. And a couple people in that room, other dispatchers, said, "Yes, we are." And another co-worker with a southern drawl responded slowly, "Yeah, we are doing God's work." And somehow, she said, I was no longer bummed to have missed what is always my favorite service of the year, Good Friday. Think of us in this way, says the Apostle Paul, as servants of Christ and stewards of God's mysteries. I like to think of Paul here as that fellow dispatcher yelling at us across the room, "Sarah, my Lutheran sister in Christ, we are doing God's work." Do you hear your name in that shout? We may be social distancing. We may be growing restless. We may even be frightened and uncertain. Some of you may also be on the front lines, being exposed, risking infection to yourselves and to your families. You're new heroes in our eyes. We are all bummed that this isn't just all over, so life can get back to normal. But underneath it all, that which can get repressed is the realization that what has prompted social separation and all of this to do in the midst of the pandemic. What it is underneath is a care for each other. It's a love of neighbor. And it definitely reflects the grace and the care that Christ brings and calls us into. It's this understanding that brings us through day by day, from one day to the next day, and then to the next day, and on to the next one. And then now, into the next months, as we work together to restore health and order and employment and commerce and community in this good earth in ways that are prudent and helpful. However great or small it is that you and I, that we are contributing to this, we are doing God's work. Today, and in the heavy work ahead, think of us in this way. As servants of Christ and stewards of God's mysteries. God is faithful, and we are doing God's work. Blessings in all those things that you have to do today. God go with you. Amen.